The Dead Lucky, issue number 2 from Image Comics. So I did a video for issue number 1. For anyone who doesn't know, this is supposed to be set within the Massive Universe. And the Massive Universe is basically, it started with Radiant Black. Then you got Rogue Sons. Then you got Infernal Girl Red. I can never remember that name for the life of me. Infernal Dragon Red, Infernal Red Girl, whatever that series is called. It hasn't come out yet. It's just a Kickstarter. She appeared in the Supermassive one-shot. And now you have the Dead Lucky. The thing is that I don't see how this can be set within that universe. This seems to be set in the future. We got like a cyberpunkish kind of vibe. There's no mention of the Radiance. Maybe this is like in the future because of what happens in the Radiance. You know, with the Radiant technology, maybe it advanced the human race and that's how we got to this point. I don't know. But I'm not seeing the connection to Radiant, so I don't know why it's in the Massive Universe. But anyways, the story is about Bibi, who came from some kind of war, and she's back home. She suffers from PTSD and survivor's guilt. Her whole platoon is killed. She also has these electrical powers that she refers to as Ghost. And then we find out in this issue that Ghost was one of her war buddies. There might have been a relationship there. I don't know. Eddie calls her out on it, and she just says that my relationship with Ghost was complicated. But yeah, so that's basically our character. She comes back. She goes to her parents who own a restaurant. They're a mixed race family. They're Chinese, Mexican, and American. So the reason I bring this up is because it's brought up again in this issue and because the restaurant is like a fusion of those three cultures. Meanwhile, there is high rise of gangs working in this city, and there's this group called the Morrow. And the Morrow are basically trying to take everybody out of the city and relocate them. So people aren't really happy with the Morrow. And Bibi decides to take matters into her own hands, become a vigilante, and use her electrical powers as well as a mech to fight the gang. And that's where we start off here. She has already fought the gang in the first issue. Here we have a member of the Morrow and a member of the city's police squad. This woman is basically supposed to be helping, she's supposed to kind of be babysitting the Morrow girl and help her get around the city and stuff like that. Like they're basically working together. And they're going around questioning everybody on if they have any information on the ghost lady, on the mech, basically on Bibi or the mech. Nobody has any kind of information. And yeah, they're just basically talking. During the conversation, this woman, whose name I can't even remember. That's how like uninteresting the first issue was. There's like no memorable characters really. But she basically talks about how she's not a fan of the Morrow, about how she doesn't buy the fact that the Morrow are like trying to help people really. She basically says they're not really helping people. There's still a bunch of homeless people everywhere. And then we cut to our main character Bibi. She's in her tokusatsu suit inside her mech, and she's fighting a gang in the subway. It's the Salvation Gang. During the fight, Eddie, he's her ex-boyfriend as well as the guy who built the mech for her. He's trying to call her. It's weird that she has him on her contacts list as the ex. Like that's kind of a dick move. Like if you date someone and things don't work out, but you're still in contact, you're still friends, why would you refer to them as the ex? Why wouldn't you just refer to them by their name? I don't know. It's these little quirks that don't really make me care for Bibi all that much. I mean, this is just a little tiny nitpick. This isn't the reason why I don't really care for her. There's just more. I'm not really too big a fan of her attitude. But yeah, the Salvation Gang eventually brings out the Raging Bull, which is a bull-shaped tank. How the gang has this, I don't know. Why the gang would actually have a bull tank, again, I don't know. But I guess we got to have some kind of Power Ranger like battle. So this is like, you know, the kaiju battle, but on a super small scale because none of them are, I guess, all that big. It's weird because I don't understand how big the mech is. In the previous issue, the mech is big enough to crush a squad car with 1 foot. Meanwhile, here the mech is maybe about 3 times the size of Bibi. Like if Bibi were to have, if we were to have 3 Bibis and have them stand on top of each other, that's about the size of the mech. So, yeah, I don't know. That's one thing. It's like the art isn't very consistent in that regard. But yeah, she uses her ghost power to fight the mechs. Then the Morrow shows up and starts arresting the Salvation Gang, and somehow Bibi's able to escape with her mech. It's kind of mentioned, like it's kind of pointed out, like how did a mech that was blowing up a tunnel leave without anyone seeing? Which makes a lot of sense, because how the hell did that happen? Especially since the exit was blocked by the Morrow police. Unless, I guess, I mean, there could be like another exit. But yeah, it still doesn't make sense. How does this giant mech make it to escape without anyone seeing it? But yeah, then we got the police officer who's kind of being reprimanded by her chief, her boss, about how you shouldn't be talking smack about Morrow. They're calling the shots here. That mouth of yours is what got you demoted. And then she basically mentions that the reason I got demoted was because I reported someone who almost killed someone. Like basically, like her previous partner almost killed someone, and she reported him, and that's why she got demoted. Again, I don't know. It's like we're trying to paint the police as bad guys here now, but this is the one who's actually good within the force. That's just like another cliche. It feels like that's what we're doing here. We're just doing a bunch of cliches. But then Bibi goes to talk to Eddie. Keep in mind, Eddie's the one that built this mech for her. And Eddie's like, hey, like, we need to talk. You come back from a war. You're telling me that you have these electrical superpowers, which is weird, but I roll with it. You tell me that you want me to steal scraps from Morrow and build you a mech. I do it. You tell me that you're possessing this robot with the dead energy of a soldier that you were with overseas. All right, fine. But there's more going on, and you're keeping me out of the loop. And then she just berates him. She just says, "You're the tech. You don't go into the hot zones. You're not fighting with me. I have Ghost. He's the one that knows how to fight. You're nothing but an IT. You're a genius, but you're not a soldier. You haven't done what I've had to do." And she even just basically says, "You're nothing but a random Silicon Valley burnout." And I'm just like, bitch, this is a guy who he's your ex, all right? And even after the breakup or whatever, he's still helping you out. He goes and he keeps the fact that you have superpowers to himself. He keeps the fact that the Morrow and the police, everyone in the city is after you. He doesn't say a word. He goes out of his way to steal Morrow technology so he can build you a giant mech, no questions asked. Something that would totally throw his ass in prison. And he just wants you to keep him in the loop, and you can't even do that. And I get they're trying to use this PTSD thing. In the letters of the previous issue, they mentioned how Bibi is supposed to be suffering from survivor's guilt and PTSD. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know PTSD. I've never had it. So maybe if you're reading this and you have PTSD, you can explain to me if they got it right or not. To me, it seems like maybe they're not, but just from my very little knowledge of what PTSD is. But again, I have very, very little knowledge, so maybe that's how it is. But she just comes across like a raging bitch, which is not a good way to portray your character. Here's the thing. I've said this in other videos before, not on this series, but on other stuff. It's fine to have your character have negative traits. It's fine to have the story be them overcoming them. But you never want to start off your character introducing them to the audience with full-on negative traits. In fact, the very first time you see you introduce your main character, you want to show them in a positive light first, or some kind of positive trait, before you introduce all their negative traits. I used this example before, but this is the example that was shown to me when I was going to university. I forgot what movie it was. It was a Tom Cruise movie. I want to say it was Minority Report. It was some kind of sci-fi Tom Cruise movie where he's a drug addict. It could be Minority Report. I haven't seen Minority Report forever. Regardless of what it was, the very first time we see Tom Cruise, he's showing up to work and he's saying hello and good morning to everybody and asking how they're doing. So we find out he's very polite to all his coworkers. and they seem to like him because of that. He treats them very well. And then that's when we introduce the fact that he's a drug addict and how it messes with his life and stuff like that. The thing is, though, is you portray him likable at first, and then you introduce all the unlikable traits. Here, you're just portraying Bibi right from the get-go. I mean, this is issue 2, but even in issue 1, she wasn't very all that likable. So you're introducing all these negative traits, and you're not really showing anything positive. So this character comes across as very unlikable. At least to me, she does. So again, what you want to do is you show your characters first. You show them in a likable fashion. It can be anything, just some kind of trait, some kind of quirk or whatever that's likable. And then that's when you introduce their negative qualities. First impressions matter. It's a cliche saying for a reason, because it's true. You can never redo a first impression. You always want to introduce, if it's a character that your audience is supposed to stand behind, you always want to introduce them. Their very first impression of that character should be a positive one before you introduce any negative aspects. But there's none here. Bibi is just a straight up bitch, and there's nothing likable about her. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but you tell me if this is what PTSD Survivor's Guild is like. Either way, she just comes across a bitch who kind of snaps at everybody. There's nothing likable really about her. And yeah, the Supermassiveverse is just not doing good. Like I'll say the best thing from the Supermassiveverse would be Radiant Black, and even Radiant Black is just an average series. And that's because it'll have some really good stuff, and then it'll just have a lot of crap and a lot of filler and nothing happening. The pacing is terrible. And nothing that's been introduced into the Radiant verse since then has been all that great. Rogue Sun has its issues, which I've talked about. Radiant Red was just a miniseries spinoff, but that was absolute dog shit. Dead Lucky is not that great. Maybe the Infernal Red, whatever that series is called, maybe when it actually eventually comes out, it might be good. I don't know. But so far, this massive verse has just been garbage. It's I don't know. And I want it to be good. I say this in Radiant Black reviews, Rogue Sun reviews, but I love tokusatsu. I absolutely love the tokusatsu genre. In fact, I have tokushoutsu. Here's a little plug on Pluto TV. It's tokusatsu series all day, every day, 24/7, 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year. And I have it going on in my second monitor right now. So every time when I'm working and stuff, I have Ultraman, Kamen Rider, the Sentais, Gridman, the Hyper Agents, all that just constantly playing. When I'm not playing that, I'll sometimes have Power Ranger stuff going on. Garu's freaking great. Cutie Honey, The Live, some other, old school stuff. So I love tokusatsu, is what I'm trying to say. So when you tell me that there's going to be a universe of tokusatsu series in comic book form, I'm all for it. Unfortunately, they have not been good. So yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. There's Dead Lucky. Issue number 2, it's not off to a good start. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.